What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Spicy Coaster Reviews, I guess I'm calling this. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you might know that I recorded pretty much this entire episode, and then all of the audio just decided to die, I guess. So for whatever reason, I sound absolutely pissed off. That is probably why. Anyway, my fine folks, we're going to be talking about the wonderful Intamin vertical lift coaster, Fahrenheit at Hersheypark. Fahrenheit was the second of the three wonderful Intamins we have at Hersheypark, but can be argued to be the runt of the three of them. You hear everybody talk about how great of a ride Stormrunner is, or how much Skyrush hurts to ride, or how intense it is, but nobody really ever seems to discuss Fahrenheit, and it seems a little bit left out of the three of those coasters. So that then brings us to this Intamin vertical lift coaster. Fahrenheit opened on May 24th in 2008, and interestingly enough, that birthday is in a few days, and I'm hoping this will be uploaded on the 24th, so happy birthday, Fahrenheit. So let's look at some of its stats. Fahrenheit's going to take you up 121 feet, going to drop you down a 97-degree angle, take you through 6 inversions, which are interestingly in packs of 2, I guess you could call it, up to speeds of 58 miles an hour, and all the way through 2,700 feet of track. Pretty good stats in my opinion. Personally, the seating arrangement on Fahrenheit is one of my favorites. It's a 3-car train of 2x2 seating. Alright, with all that out of the way, how about let's look into the ride experience itself. After exiting the station, you're going to take a slow right-hand turn to the bottom of the lift. Here you will pause and wait for the, I guess you could call it a catch dog on the lift hill, to engage with the back of the train and then push you all the way up to the top of the lift. There's a few things that had to be done though to allow this mechanism to work, and I'll be getting into that after we go over the ride layout. Obviously, Fahrenheit is known for its vertical lift and beyond vertical drop. So after pausing, you're going to be going up this vertical lift and then over the crest, diving down that 97-degree drop. At the bottom of the first drop, you're going to be experiencing pretty high positive G-forces in common Intamin fashion. Then you'll be sweeping right up into the next element. This next element is only seen on 3 other coasters currently in the world. Fahrenheit, obviously, Speed Monster at Tunsenfried, I think is how you pronounce it, which is also the original, and Helix at Leesburg, the most recent one. This element is called a Norwegian Loop. Since Speed Monster, the first one, is located in Norway, is kind of the reason why, I assume at least, the name is the way it is. I would like to point out really quick, the vertical lift coaster that's being built in China will not be featuring a Norwegian Loop. Let me quickly explain to you what a Norwegian Loop is if you're not already familiar. A Norwegian Loop is more or less a normal loop, but you turn it upside down and you basically turn it into a dive loop Immelman combo. But the tops are a little bit more twisted to the point where it's more of a dive and like a rollout on top. So it's kind of if you put a non-reverting loop and an Immelman and a dive loop all together into one thing and made one element. After the Norwegian Loop, per usual on any Intamin, you'll be experiencing some high positive G-forces on the valley of that thing. And after rolling out of the top and diving back down and again pulling some high positive Gs, you're going to be heading right into the next element. A very interesting looking Cobra roll. Now, I've ridden quite a few Cobra rolls I like to think, and this is by far the best one and one of the most aesthetically pleasing. Must be something with Pennsylvania and having interesting looking Cobra rolls. I'm looking at you, Hydra. Right after the Cobra roll, you're going to be sweeping right back up into some corkscrews, but if you look at the track right after the Cobra roll in the valley there's a little bit of a spot that appears to used to have trims or was supposed to get trims at one point or another. Now, I could not find any footage or photo evidence of trims ever existing here. However, if you do know of their existence, or if they ever were or were not on there, please let me know in the comments, or if you have even a picture of it, I would love to see that. Please let me know. I want to see what it looks like. Now, if those trims were there, I would be quite upset, because the next half would have lost so much speed it would be nowhere near as interesting. These next 2 corkscrews are some of the whippiest corkscrews ever on a sit-down coaster. They're comparable to pretty much any inverted coaster corkscrews I've ridden. However, the corkscrews are still, at the end of the day, just corkscrews, and they don't really need to be talked about too much. So, on to the next element, which still isn't that interesting. It's kind of like a mini overbank, but boy, is it intense. This thing will push you right into your seat, and right after that, you're going to be hitting a really good pop-up ejector airtime. Then you're going to be fired right back down to the ground into an intense left-hand turn, pop right back up for a little more airtime, but then you're hitting the brakes. That last section is definitely like very Maverick-esque, Intimidator 305-esque. Definitely the proper ending to a very good, very unique ride. Now let's rewind, jump all the way back to the beginning of the coaster to the lift hill. I said I would explain the system there, and I'm going to. Most coasters with a vertical lift have some sort of system that's not using a chain dog to attach to the lift system. It'll utilize some sort of secondary chain dog, but it goes behind the train and engages with the back of it, instead of having a chain dog on the underside of the train. I believe this is done due to the fact that the individual chain dogs beneath the train would not be able to handle the stress of being pulled up a lift hill vertically. However, I do not know for sure, so if anyone knows anyone that works at Intamin or wants to give Intamin a ring, let me know, or Gerstlauer or SNS or anybody that makes any kind of vertical lift hill coasters. Now, what's interesting about Fahrenheit is it has 2 chain lifts, which is, I find to be a little odd, especially considering that Maurer Rides has managed to use 1 chain lift on their Skyloop model, which also has 12-seat trains. Now, their lift system's a lot different in a lot of ways, and I don't really want to get into on this video. Maybe a video on its own will be deserving of the Maurer Skyloop. Having 2 chains on the lift hill does present an interesting problem, though. There's no way to stop the train to wait for the little catch dog thing to come and engage with the back of the train. So Intamin, being the innovators they are, were able to find a solution to this. And that comes in the form of having like drive tires on the sides of the track underneath the upstop wheels. Underneath the upstop wheels on the train, there's these little skid pads that allow the tires to roll and stop the train. So that's how this Intamin deals with that weird, strange double lift system. In my opinion, Fahrenheit's quite a fantastic and a very interestingly unique ride. And you may be wondering, why are you calling this ride unique? There's plenty of Eurofighters, Infinity coasters, and other styles of vertical lift hill coasters beyond vertical drops to go around. Why is this one so special? I have a few reasons for this. First of which is being pretty obvious. This is the only currently operating Intamin vertical lift hill coaster. One's being built in China, but I doubt I'll ever get to actually get out there and ride it. And also, who knows when it's ever going to open. Another thing I really appreciate about the ride is it's not super long. Coasters like this pack in their punch in quite a short amount of time and don't really need to prove themselves anymore after all of their rapid fire elements are done. There's also 2 very personal reasons why I love the ride so much. The first reason being it features a Norwegian Loop, one of the most rare elements on a coaster as I mentioned earlier, and it's also one of my favorite elements ever as well. Fahrenheit's the first and only coaster I've ridden that has a Norwegian Loop, mainly because I'm too broke to go to Europe and for other obvious reasons that are going on right now. The second reason is being that it has a lot of similarity to the Gerstlauer Eurofighters and Infinity coaster models, which are my 2 favorite roller coaster models of all time. Fahrenheit does have one big pitfall though, and that's its capacity. It has a tendency to get a long line quite quickly and it'll hold that line all day. However, when you're building a coaster like this, it's kind of hard to up the capacity too much because you can't really do a vertical lift with like a 7-car train. So it makes sense. And to give this big temperature, I guess, a score, I'm giving Fahrenheit a 7.5. Anyway, if you enjoyed, please put a like on the video. If you hated the video, you can dislike it. If you really liked it, you can subscribe if you would like. And if you're feeling extra spicy, why don't you leave a comment? Let me know your favorite way to enjoy celery, I guess. Okay, goodbye.
I am the Sprout Master. Any bean can be grown. Bean sprouts. Sprout people. Pea carnival.
Tower of adequately washed beans. Spray nozzle. Try to be a pea. Excuse me if that's unbearable. I and Sprouts have spent a lot of time alone together over the years.
I've grown an awful lot of sprouts.
Sprout Master.